Hello everyone, it's me, Abid Gafarov, and again we are together on the Caspian Watch, and today we will have our guest and we will discuss the Azerbaijan's future in the Council of Europe. As you know, in upcoming week, starting from the 22nd of the June, the June session will start on the Parliament Assembly Council of Europe, and on the 25th of June there is a plan to hold the hearing on the Azerbaijan, and especially the name of the report is the silenced voices in Azerbaijan. So I'm inviting our guest today to our stage. Uh, Hello, good afternoon, Arif. Welcome in our studio.
Hello, Abid. I'm delighted to be your guest of your program. This is the second time. This is an honor, and I'm sure that we'll discuss very important topic, Azerbaijani future in the Council of Europe. I think that this is extremely important issue. We joined in 2001, and we can say that our relations are degrading. Instead of becoming closer, we're moving away from the Council of Europe. I remember when we were applied to the Council of Europe, we were saying that we want to be the part of the European family. We want to improve human rights, democracy, but unfortunately, and also to get European values being injected to Azerbaijan. But unfortunately, sometimes we try to inject values of Azerbaijani regime to the Council of Europe. And now I think that we have the worst period of relationship with this organization. And of course, I will be delighted to answer your questions.
Yeah, having talking about the discourse for the Azerbaijan out of the Council of Europe, how do you think that is the Azerbaijan's current problem with the Council of Europe only a diplomatic conflict, or it is a sign that Azerbaijan is moving away from European values? So, what type of clear message we should get from that, and what type of message our regime's behavior actually is giving to the entire world and especially to the European community?
You know, when Azerbaijan applied for the membership to the Council of Europe, the regime needed legitimacy. They needed to be recognized as part of Europe, to have access to the European institutions, to the European financial institutions, to have lots of preferences being part of Europe. But now we moved from Europe. We are now autocratic state where there is no even trace of any kind of democracy, no institutions, no human rights, no civil society, no opposition. All journalists are arrested. Those who managed to escape the country are spread in different countries of Europe, like you, like myself. And unfortunately, Azerbaijani regime is now feeling impunity, some kind of, because it doesn't even pretend to be democratic. It is now family autocratic regime, and they don't even pretend, they don't even try to say that they are democratic. You see, in all events, the family members join president, his first lady, his wife, his daughters, like representing also family. So unfortunately, we are now, even now, after 25 years, we are more away from the Council of Europe than we were when we were entering. Because when we were entering, we tried to fulfill some obligations. I remember Haidar Aliyev had to release political prisoners, had to accept certain new laws in the constitution, changes. Everything was done to get this membership. But now Aliyev doesn't care. He thinks that he controls everything. He is wealthy. He doesn't need European money. In fact, his headache is how to launder billions of cash that he has in the country. Unfortunately, this is very deplorable. But who would suffer if a relation with the Council of Europe degrade in the future, further degrade, and become also will come to the point of no return? Finally, it's Azerbaijani society who will suffer. Political prisoners will suffer. There are hundreds of thousands of Azerbaijanis who applied to the European Court of Human Rights for compensation for injustices done against them. But if the regime gets out, from the Council of Europe, even small European presence will disappear. I am sure then a Council of Europe delegation to Azerbaijan will also close its doors. So it will be more difficult, and for civil society, for Azerbaijani people, even more complicated. But I mean, one thing I would like to point out. Unfortunately, sometimes I think that Azerbaijani society in general doesn't understand what the Council of Europe is, why is it important. People don't care. We see how people react to worsening of relations with the European Union, with the Council in Georgia, in Armenia. The Ukrainian issues, all Ukrainian issues started because Yanukovych refused to sign agreement with the European Union, and there was people revolted, there were clashes, but unfortunately our society doesn't care. What do you think? What really? Why, if tomorrow Aliyev, recalls its membership from the Council of Europe, 2-3 days, people like you, me, different channels, Osman Gazi, Azeri Freedom, will discuss this, and that's it. After 2 weeks, nobody will even talk about that. Like everything in the country, you will see people arrested. Maximum 4 days, 5 days, people discuss on the social media. Then everything is forgotten, and the regime does what it wants. We should raise awakening of the population, because unfortunately our population is indifferent to what the government, what the regime does to Azerbaijan, and also people should think that if tomorrow we are not the member of the Council of Europe, then our courts will do even more injustices and will do even more ugly things than they did before. But we have to see how we can activate society, because unfortunately, my personal experience, I was thinking that our society is more, more European, or our society is more ready. But frankly speaking, when I live in Europe and I compare people here with people there, approach of the people to different issues here and there, how people fight every day for their rights. Even they live in democratic countries, they still, fight for more rights. They still fight to get more social benefits. They still fight to get higher salaries, working days, and for any small thing, people that just demand the government to do what people want. But Azerbaijani society is probably completely, I don't know how to say it, it's almost non-existent, unfortunately. Non-existent. We see in Georgia, we have seen elections, people go and cheer, they are, go to the streets. You see how people are free. You see how their mind is free, but in Azerbaijan, people are just desperate, and I don't know. We cannot do anything. We cannot do much, and European institutions, they also see this. They see that Azerbaijani society is completely shattered, is completely incapacitated. Well, I don't know. Maybe you have some other view, but unfortunately, the picture is very deplorable, and that's why the regime does what it does. If they would see the reaction of the society, if the people will raise, will protest, will say that no, it is our family, we have to be in Europe, then it will be a different picture. But Aliyev says that society is different, indifferent, completely indifferent.
I agree. I see your point, Arif. Thank you for the clarification. This question. The next question is about the European Court of Human Rights. Azerbaijan has repeatedly failed to fully implement judgments of the European Court of Human Rights, especially in particular motivated cases. In the Ilgar Mammadov case, the court already found that Azerbaijan had failed to fulfill its obligation to abide by a final judgment under Article 46, and etc. So there are lots of, the judgments not fulfilled or not implemented by Azerbaijani government. And the question is that Azerbaijan, European Court for Human Rights already applied to the Council of Europe to exclude Azerbaijan from Council of Europe. Why? Because they are not implementing orders of the European Court. How do you think? Do we expect something regarding the future of Azerbaijan in the Council of Europe in upcoming session? Like in 2024, if you remember, the Parliament Assembly Council of Europe actually they didn't approve the credentials of the Azerbaijani delegations. So I think that that was a clear message that Council of Europe will insist on the implementation of European values and implementation of obligations made by Azerbaijan before the Council of Europe. How do you think? Shall we expect something regarding the Azerbaijani's future in Council of Europe? Go ahead.
Everybody in the Council of Europe understands that Azerbaijan is just probably the regime wants that we exclude it from the Council. They don't want to do it themselves. They want that the Council of Europe take decision, and then they will accuse Council of Europe of being anti-Islamic or anti-Azerbaijan, anti-Turkic, that they are managed by a Romanian lobby, things like this, as always they do. But of course, for Azerbaijani people, when the whole legal system in the country is completely collapsed, the only light at the end of the tunnel was the European Court of Human Rights. Every people whose rights are, abused, they say that even when there is a judge, they say, I will go to the European Court of Human Rights. Everybody in the courts, in the hearings, they say that, okay, I will complain about injustices against me to the European Court of Human Rights. But if we don't have at least this light at the end of the channel, it will be even worse. But sometimes, from the other side, I believe that probably we have to fall to the bottom to feel the real pain and to understand that we are in big trouble. If the regime doesn't care because they have billions of money, they don't care about anything, they don't care about institutions, and they see what's happening in the world, they probably would like, Aliyev would like to have Azerbaijan as sultanate, like in Gulf countries, the family dictatorship, and we see the traces of this. We see more and more family appears all together, president, his wife, his daughters, his son, wife, and they behave like sultanate, like members of the royal family. And who cares about what happens in United Arab Emirates or in Qatar? They Europeans take them like non-European, even non-civilized countries, and they don't care. But I think that if we're expelled from the Council of Europe, in 2 weeks nobody will remember about that. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I see your point. And meanwhile, as we know that in upcoming session, there will be the special hearing on the subject silencing critical voices in Azerbaijan. And the main reporter, Michel Lacroix, from the main member of parliament from the Belgium, actually will introduce his report. And what do you think, Arif? What kind of conversations or what kind of discussions shall we expect addressing the Azerbaijan regime?
They very well know about number of political prisoners in Azerbaijan. There are journalists, there are activists, there are scientists, and there are you know uh, religious people of faith. Talia Barazadeh, Abbas, you know his name, Abbas Abbasov.
Abbas, yeah,
Also members of the Muslim,
Abbas
uh,
Hussein, Abbas
yeah,
Hussein.
yeah, and many, yeah, Abbas Hussein, and many other people who are arrested. There are over 500 people, and people who have never done any crime. So uh, I believe that there will be strong language, also demanding Azerbaijani regime to fulfill its obligations of executing European court decisions. But there are no mechanisms to force the regime. Council of Europe don't have you know bombers or Patriot missiles. They have only resolutions. They have only member states deputies who try to do something. But Aliyev knows that, and he ignores this. And unfortunately, sometimes it works. Why it works? Because our population is not ready. Our population is not ready for resisting. We don't resist. Our
Yeah,
society became completely soft, and there is also part of the blame on all of us, but also on the position. I can understand how difficult it is to be in a position as Azerbaijan. But once you have undertaken this duty to be a position, you shouldn't have let this situation to come to this stage when Azerbaijan is completely closed country. No institutions, no human rights, nothing, and they do whatever they want. They arrest whoever they want, and this deplorable situation. It might one day turn against the regime because why European nations created institutions, courts, and institutions. Why? Because to avoid people's anger. Because
yeah,
before what was happening, people were getting angry, and the elites were doing what they wanted. But finally, people were taking their arms or whatever and going and killing these rich and unpopular rulers. And unfortunately, in Azerbaijan, I don't see other way than a revolt. Popular revolt when people will really start protesting and will start saying no to this regime. But unfortunately, we don't see it yet now.
yeah. How do you think, Arif? We observe that the regular adoption of the resolutions by Council of Europe, the PACE or European Parliament, and mainly the resolutions containing the calls to release the political prisoners, journalists, and other political activists. But it seems that Azerbaijani regime is deaf to these calls and blind to these resolutions. How do you think shall PACE or Council of Europe adopt the sanctions or implement the sanctions in order to force Azerbaijani regime to start implementing the calls, lawful calls. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I believe that probably before I was against that, but I believe now that Council of Europe should expel Azerbaijan completely from the Council of Europe, so that regime can feel the pain. Regime thinks that it will be unpainful passage, but it's not, because there are many partial agreements within the Council of Europe. If we are expelled from the Council of Europe, we're expelled from the partial agreements. And if we expel from the partial agreements, all system will have problems. For example, we are a member of Manival. It's partial agreement. Manival is instrument, money laundering instrument. If we are expelled from Manival, Azeri banks or Azeri transfers with European banks will be complicated, even not possible. I remember we had crisis in the relations with Manival, and even our embassies couldn't withdraw money from the accounts, and all the British banks, for example, refused, and they returned. They said we can't keep your money. So the same about education. Like we are part of Bologna process. Bologna process gave our specialists the right to work in European hospitals, in European institutions. But if we are not part of the Bologna process, then our education system will not be in line with the with Bologna process. Then our diplomas will become piece of shit, you know. The same about many other things, you know. Reform of the prisons, also legitimacy of the elections. At least before they were trying to bribe members so that they come. But if we are not part of the Council of Europe, then there will not be delegation coming to observe elections.
Yeah.
And if Azerbaijan thinks that having opinion of the Russian Duma or Turkish Majlis is enough, it's not. Europe will not recognize leaders who have not been approved by serious international organizations such as Council of Europe, OSCE, or others.
Thank you. Arif, to be honest, when I think about the changing the regimes, I cannot think of the revolutions, but unfortunately, revolutions can be in two different ways, bloody and non-bloody. I mean, a peaceful revolution like we had in Georgia, for example. The question that how Europe or European institutions or European community can help and support Azerbaijani people to overcome the dictatorship and throw them away in peaceful manner to avoid the bloody the revolution. Yeah, go ahead.
Uh, you know, much will depend on the maturity of the society and on the ability of all of us. I don't say about home opposition, but also ourselves. We have to be ready to not to let things to go out of, lines when people will start burning properties and crashing everything. Now even in democracy, when things are fine, when people are angry, when people are protesting, they smash police cars, they attack police stations, and of course in Azerbaijan, God forbid that we have this scenario, because then you don't know what might happen the next, and we have lots of regional powers who have their interests in the region and in Azerbaijan. So I wish that we avoid this, but unfortunately, I am afraid that when all other forms of protest, all other forms of organizing groups and everything is not possible, the only way where people can communicate and have a real healthy discussion is within society. So that I don't know. I believe that we have to do something. We have to be better organized. We have to cooperate with each other. Unfortunately, even in the outside of the country, we're also divided. We're also divided. We have
No, I
two.
think no, I think when the topic will be the representation of Azerbaijani people in Council of Europe or Parliament Assembly Council of
Yeah,
Europe, I think all the fragments of the opposition living in exile will come in one place and fight for the getting the representation for in the Council of Europe. Anyway, how do you think that as we understand that there is possibility to exclude Azerbaijan from the Council of Europe?
mm.
Uh, Especially when we review the process, that the complaints coming from the European Court for Human Rights, and of course from the Cabinet of Ministry of Council of Europe also, they are worried about Azerbaijan not fulfilling or implementing the orders of the European Court. How do you think would the exclusion of Azerbaijan from the Council of Europe be good or bad for the Azerbaijani people, and why it would be good or bad, and what our people should expect in upcoming month or upcoming years if Azerbaijan to be excluded from the Council of Europe? Go ahead, floor is yours.
I believe that uh, before I was thinking that Europe should keep relations because there is Azerbaijani regime, but people also, But I believe that at this stage it's time to exclude Azerbaijan, to punish, and make regime to feel that this punishment is serious. Feel the regime pain of being excluded from the Council of Europe, so that Azerbaijani banks would not be able to make transactions with the European banks, with the European companies. If this happens, then they will change their attitude. But now regime learned that from years to years, Council of Europe was passing resolutions, but nothing was happening afterwards. There were resolutions calling on sanctions of the regime, on family, on their business. I am in a position more than 10 years. I hear the same thing every year. Before I was in the government, the same every year was something of similar, but really nothing was happening.
Then there is a main question, Arif. I think this will be the main question, one of the main questions of the show. How do you think is exclusion of Azerbaijan from the Council of Europe will hit the regime, the family itself, or the ordinary citizens?
I want that Council of Europe should do everything that regime feels the pain, because normally people they are anyway they're in the pain. Azerbaijani people are living in it is in prison. As Talib Baghazadeh said, there are closed cage and open cage. So part of the society is in the closed cage, but the part is in the open cage. So if the regime will feel financial problems with transactions, with getting credits from the European institutions, from Azerbaijani educational centers will be deprived of certificates, and etc., then they will rethink their position. But until there is no serious steps, the regime will do whatever they want, because they're used to see that things go until the threats, but never fulfilled, unfortunately.
Yeah, Arif, thank you. And as we know that there are usually some statements regarding the ongoing war, or in the past, the war or conflict we had between Azerbaijan and Armenia. There's some points regarding this conflict, and as we know that the regime, Aliyev's regime, usually use this point against the Council of Europe and against the European Parliament, and telling that the internal audience that you see they are pro-Armenian powers, etc., and they are working against Azerbaijan and supporting Armenia. But there let's say if 1 or 2 points regarding the Karabakh conflict, they used to be more than 10 points regarding the human rights, including elections, even the courts, judicial problems, etc., etc. How do you think? I heard that nowadays the oppositional representatives from the Azerbaijan emailed the Council of Europe, I mean the PACE, regarding that if it is possible to keep the resolution purely, I mean the human rights relevant, I mean the in the human rights content. How do you think will it work? And if not, or if yes, if it works, I mean that there is no any point about the Armenia or Karabakh, how else Azerbaijani regime will use this resolution against the European community? Go ahead.
Uh, First of all, I would like to say that all previous resolutions on Nagorno-Karabakh were in Azerbaijani favor, including this famous resolution 1416, I think, that was recognizing territorial integrity of Azerbaijan, was saying that Armenia occupied Azerbaijani territories. Now things changed, and of course they have to express their views to what is happening in the region. And Nagorno-Karabakh problem, it is resolved, but there are still open questions, and Council of Europe doesn't want these open questions to lead to further confrontation. After elections, of course, everybody understands that Armenia has taken the European path. They, despite pressure from Russia, threats, Armenian society that we don't care, we go this way, and they understand that one day or another, Azerbaijan will be excluded. I would like to say that all these years we had also complicated relations with the Council of Europe and the European Union, but because European institutions always regarded South Caucasus as one region, they treated us, they tried to treat us equally, despite the fact that some countries were ahead on different issues, some behind. But they were, even when we were accepted to the Council of Europe, it was Azerbaijan and Armenia together, because Armenia was more ready, we were less, but they needed, and still now there is such mentality that our small region should be viewed as one entire region, and that's why they want to also to put into resolution, parts which include the Karabakh issue. Maybe refugees, probably there will be issue for refugees, their right to return to their land, etc., etc. But again, we have to see and try to shake our society. Unfortunately, our society is going from sleeping stage to, I don't know, clinical death. I like this, because it's very unfortunate what we see.
Or coma.
Coma,
Maybe.
yes, coma.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you. And how do you think if Azerbaijan will hear the calls from the European Parliament or Council of Europe and start releasing the political prisoners and starting the transformation and change towards the democracy? Will it, the cause to the benefit of the government itself, or it will accelerate, the end of their time in the power? How do you think? Will they take credits from applying the release of political prisoners, some sort of softening in the dictatorship? Yeah, go ahead.
You and me, we know very well Mr. Arif. He on the contrary, he will try to show that he doesn't care. This is his attitude for everything. There were, even during the previous administration, in US, for example, there were calls to release political prisoners, calls to release Gubadibadoglu. I remember there was like campaigns, universities, world universities calling to release Gubadibadoglu, US senators, parliaments, and many, many institutions. But Aliyev now, he feels impunity, He thinks that he can do whatever he wants. He doesn't care about people. He cares about his money, and Europe once has to say very strongly that enough is enough. We have been trying to accommodate you, but if you don't want to be part of this family, go away and join I don't know, African Unity or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And it seems that actually there is no any potential for the the change, or maybe to change from the dictatorship to the democracy. There is no chance for the regime. Anyway, we will see and we will monitor and we will participate in the session and we'll see how the things going on. And last one, Arif, how do you think while all the political means, all the social means in order to achieve the democracy within the society, within the state are demolished, yeah, fully demolished. So there is not any political parties to be registered out of the the out of the system, or there is not any media. How the Nourish can hold? You need to fight out of system opposition. If you remember, it happened in 2024, I believe, 3rd of August. Anyway, how do you think how it will affect us to become? I mean, the opposition out of system, how to become more powerful and more influential in the Europe against the government, I mean, against the regime.
Uh, Again, we should try to shake Azerbaijani society. Also, there are uh, millions of Azerbaijanis living in different countries, over
Yeah,
2 million in Russia. If you take Kazakhstan, Ukraine, other countries, there are hundreds of thousands of our compatriots. But we have to bring them closer to understand them that they are losing the country. We are losing the country. If Aliyev continues like this and no changes, most of the people I know, many people are leaving. University people who graduated university graduates, uh, already on the third, fourth year of their studies, they look for opportunity to work in Germany, in France, in other countries. So. um uh, I believe that the Azerbaijani regime will start falling when there will be the first cracks in the system. And I believe that the cracks are already existing. But we have to see that these cracks go further, and then probably we can have opportunity. But we have lots of brilliant people in opposition. And we have to see how we can organize better, coordinate our work together, and then I hope that there is hope. I believe that there is light in the end of the tunnel, and I believe that it's not a train that is coming on us.
thank you. And if we talk about the excluding Azerbaijan from the Council of Europe, I mean, oof, some people may argue that exclusion of Azerbaijan from Council of Europe may push Aliyev towards Russia and towards Putin. How do you think? Will it end up? May it end up in that way?
No, I don't think that Aliyev is interested in, because now Russia is very weak, and the last Ukrainian attack on Moscow showed how Russian air defense system is weak, and Aliyev would like to distance himself from Russia. It worked in the past that Azerbaijan was saying, okay, if you don't accept us, we go to Russia. But Russia has nothing to offer. Russia is itself in big trouble. You see, capital Moscow was attacked in very strong way. So, like this.
Thank you. Yeah, I noticed that the air drones coming to the Moscow. Yeah,
Yes, because
it
now,
does
now
push.
nobody wants to be next to Moscow. You see, Central Asian republics, Armenia, which was completely dependent on Russia, they want to go away. The same about Georgia, the same about Aliyev also. He knows that there is no future. Unfortunately, there is no future, and things are collapsing. The yesterday strikes was very important message, and I think that it was very important. Mind-blowing situation when Muscovites, before they didn't feel that the war is so close, but when the drones strike the buildings and the institutions, the different cultural places, people start asking, are we on the right way? So let's see. Let's be patient and see.
Thank you. And regarding the couple of months ago, we had the incident, fall of the drone in the Nakhchivan area
Mm,
nearby the school, and we witnessed a very not polite, out of diplomatic rhetoric reaction from Aliyev towards Iran.
mm,
And we know that the reactions from the Iran wasn't very pleasant.
mm,
And how do you think? They deteriorated the relationships with Iran,
mm.
and meanwhile deterioration the relationship within the Europe and Council of Europe. Will it speed up the things for Aliyev? I mean, will it cause the end of the regime? I mean, accelerate the process?
I think that uh, the the memorandum that was signed yesterday by Trump and by President Pezeshkian opens wider opportunities for Iran. Iran proved to be a strong country. It proved to be sustainable. It proved to be resistant despite all economic problems. But we see the Iranian society is united as it has never been for the last 100 years. So Aliyev made this statement after this false flag attack, and when it was proved that they are not coming from Israel. Of course, Aliyev understood that he made mistake, but with all mistakes, with all the statements, Iranian society and their Revolutionary Guard take Aliyev as a enemy. He's a traitor. He's a person who, uh,
Traitor, yeah.
yeah, and of course his words of again about Iranians like be sharaf, be gayrat, it will be remembered by Iranians have long memory. They have long memory, and I'm sure that they will follow the further events.
Yeah, we will see. We shall see. As
Thank
it
you.
is. Thank you, Ari, for
Thank
the
you, Akil.
short,
It was a pleasure.
very
Bigger.
sweet, I would say, and informative interview. And I'm looking forward to hold you in our show while I will be in the Parliament Assembly Council
Yeah,
of
I
Europe.
will be happy to join. If there are any discussion, I will be happy.
Yeah, probably, and we may hold the discussions in both channels, in Caspian Watch in English and also in Azer Watch in Azerbaijani language. And I believe that they will be very productive week or productive session in this Strasbourg. Thank you very much again,
Thank
and
you.
see
Thank you,
you
Adit.
next time in
It
our
was a
show.
pleasure. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, thank you for watching us, ladies and gentlemen. And very shortly next week, the new session, the June session of the Parliament Assembly Council of Europe starts, and there will be the hearing regarding the silencing the critical voices in Azerbaijan. This motion for resolution started from 2022, starting from the May, and also the motion for resolution included to this process, which was adopted in October 2022. Exactly the resolution which was containing my name on it. As you know, or you may know that I was arrested on fabricated charges as well due to my investigative work regarding the Tatar case, and which were published in Kim TV YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching us, and stay tuned. Like, subscribe, and share us. And in upcoming weeks, we are coming back with more and more interviews and discussions. Stay tuned. Take care. Bye.